Okay, we're back for quiz 51 and we're going to give out the scores for last week. Everybody over 20. There's some good scores. It was very close to the top, and it seems to be all the members of the other team up at the top there. I think it was only 2 points separating the top four, so it was tight last week. Right, who we got? Jean and Davy. Jean was not well there, so had a wee accident with her foot. So hope she's keeping better, and I'll see us get back to the quiz very shortly. Carlin and Brian got a 20, Andre a 22, Jerry Smith got a 21, and a couple of big scores here. Josie and Bill got a 28, Billy and Margaret got a 29, but joint leaders last week with 30 was John and Dawn and Stevie and Rita with 30. So it was only 2 points separating the top four. So it was tight this week. Right, we're going to go on to round one. What nickname did the press give American gangster Charles Arthur Floyd? What nickname did the press give American gangster Charles Arthur Floyd? Here's a wee tough one around for you. There's no way you might get this one. In Australia, what is a Kylie? As in Kylie Minogue. What is a Kylie in Australia? Number 3. What was a name given to a Japanese propaganda female broadcaster during World War II? What was she called? What was a name given to a Japanese propaganda broadcaster, the female, during World War II? And number 4, European eels are born in or around which sea? Okay, European eels are born in or around which sea? Okay, number 5, what's a commonly used Latin word meaning elsewhere? What's a commonly used Latin word meaning elsewhere? Okay, number 6, what kind of flowers painted by Van Gogh is worth more than his painting of the sunflowers? Okay, so which painting painted by Van Gogh is worth more than his painting titled Sunflowers? Okay, number 7, Franz von Weber was apparently the only German to do what? Franz von Weber was apparently the only German to do what? Here's one I didn't know the other day. I came across this. Stevie might know this. Stevie and Rita might know this one, but I didn't know this myself. Which group? That's pop group. Which group took its name from a term used by Allied aircraft pilots in World War II to describe various UFOs and aerial phenomenon seen in the skies? Okay, so which group took its name from a term used by Allied aircraft pilots in World War II to describe various UFOs and aerial phenomenon seen in the skies? Okay, get your answers down. If you want to rewind that and go back on over some of them, I'm going to give you their answers to round one now. What nickname did the press give American gangster Charles Arthur Floyd? Pretty boy Floyd. And what is a Kylie in Australia? It's a boomerang that doesn't come back, as a Kylie. And what was the name given to a Japanese propaganda female broadcaster during World War II? Tokyo Rose. I think I'll call it a stick here, a boomerang that doesn't come back. European eels are born in and around which sea? The Sargasso Sea. And what's a commonly used Latin word meaning elsewhere? Alibi. And what kind of flowers painted by Van Gogh is worth more than his painting of sunflowers? They were irises. And Franz von Wera was apparently the only German to do what? Escape from a prisoner of war camp. It was a film there about him called The One That Got Away. Whether it's true or not, but that's what they're saying to say. Which group took its name from a term used by Allied aircraft pilots in World War II to describe various UFOs and aerial phenomena seen in the skies? Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters. Okay, get them scores down. And we'll move on to round 2. The scores will probably be up in the high 20s again, or the 30 again. So these are all doing well. Number 1, Charles Dodgson wrote his classic children's story under what name? I think he had a middle name, hadn't he? Was it Ludwig? Charles. Okay, so Charles Dodgson, Dodgson, wrote his classic children's story under what name? Number 2, Fitzwilliam Darcy appears in which novel? Fitzwilliam Darcy appears in which novel? Number 3, which French detective was created by Georges Simenon? Which French detective was created by Georges Simenon? And number 4, who wrote the book Rebecca? Who wrote the book Rebecca? Number 5, was the author of the Just William books male or female? Was the author of the Just William books male or female? Here's one here. I'll just throw this in because I got the book here for Christmas. I got this. I wanted to get this book, but I got it as a Christmas gift. Who wrote the book Anger is an Energy? Who wrote the book Anger is an Energy? And that there line is the title of that book is one of the lyrics in a song, one of his songs. Right. Who created Inspector Adam Dalgliesh? Okay, who was the writer? Who created Inspector Adam Dalgliesh? And that's number 7. And number 8, which author wrote the book Swallows and Amazons? Which author wrote the book Swallows and Amazons? Right, get them answers down. If you want to pause that and go back on some, I'm going to go over the answers here. Number 1, Charles Dodgson wrote his classic children's story under what name? Lewis Carroll. Fitzwilliam Darcy appears in which novel? Pride and Prejudice. And which French detective was created by Georges Simenon? Maigret. And who wrote the book Rebecca? Daphne du Maurier. And was author of the Just William books male or female? Well, the writer was Richmal Compton. So was Richmal Compton male or female? He was female. Female. Who wrote the book Anger is an Energy? John Leyden, sometimes known as Johnny Rotten. John Leyden wrote it. And who created Inspector Adam Dalgliesh? P.D. James. And which author wrote the book Swallows and Amazons? Which author? It was Arthur Rackham. Arthur Rackham. Right, get them scores. They're under round 3. Number 1. Who was the first person to turn down the big red book on This Is Your Life? Who was the first person to turn down the big red book on This Is Your Life? Number 2. Who wrote the short story The Cask of Amontillado in 1846? who wrote the short story The Cask of Amontillado in 1846. I like his stuff. I watched the film about him there, not a year or two ago. It was good. Number 3, who wrote the sitcom Butterflies? Who was the writer of the sitcom Butterflies? And number 4, who popularised the tradition of wearing a white wedding dress? Who popularised the tradition of wearing a white wedding dress? Okay, number 5. Which character did Elizabeth Taylor play in her last film role? Which character did Elizabeth Taylor play in her last film role? Now the actual character's name, you'll probably forget it. If you haven't seen it, you'll probably forget the character's name. So I'll just say it was Harry Potter. If you say Harry Potter's granny, you can give yourselves a point. Okay, so you don't even know the character. So tell me roughly what she was in. Okay. Number 6, duffel bag, duffel coat. But which country would you find the town of Duffel? Okay, you can get a duffel bag and a duffel coat, but which town or which country would you find the town of Duffel? Okay. In which Asian country is the coldest capital city in the world? Okay. In which Asian country is the coldest capital city in the world based on the mean annual daily temperatures? What's the annual Asian country as the coldest capital city in the world? Okay, number 8. Which country has the most executions? You know, if you go to court and you get sentenced and you get executed or something, which country has the most executions? This country has more than the rest of the countries combined. Okay, this country has more executions than all the rest of the world's countries combined. So which country has the most executions? Okay, got the answers down? Look at the answers. Here we go. Who was the first person to turn down the big red book on This Is Your Life? It was Donnie Blanchflower. Donnie Blanchflower. And the first, just read the order, you probably know this, but the first person to be interviewed on This Is Your Life back in the 50s was Eamon Andrews. Eamon Andrews was the first person to get the big red book on This Is Your Life by the first original host. Who wrote the short story The Cask of Amontillado in 1846? It was Edgar Allan Poe. I think the film I watched was The Raven. It was all about his life stories. You called it The Raven, or did you call it The Raven? It was just Poe. One of his stories was a raven, wasn't it? It might have been just Edgar Allan Poe. I forgot it was a raven, but it's good anyway. Who wrote the sitcom Butterflies? Carla Lane, or Dunbread. Who popularised the tradition of wearing a white wedding dress? Queen Victoria. And which character did Elizabeth Taylor play in her last film? She played Pearl Slaghoople. So if you wrote the Flintstones, it was Wilma Flintstones Miller. She played the Wilma's Miller. So if you wrote the Flintstones, so you can give yourselves a point. Duffel bag and duffel coat. Which country would you find the town of Duffel? Belgium. And in which Asian country is the coldest capital city in the world based on the mean annual daily temperatures? It's Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. And which country has the most executions? More than the rest of all the other countries combined? Well, all the other countries combined comes to roughly 500 a year. This country has thousands, although they don't give you numbers because it's a state secret. They won't give you it. So if you're, don't be saying I said this, so because I go into the Chinese and get pulled in or something. So, right, it's China, allegedly. Right, number 4, round 4. This is a wee bit of music. It's a music. Who had a hit with Davies on the Road Again? Who had a big hit with Davies on the Road Again? Like that wee song. Number 2. Who sang the theme tune to the Clint Eastwood film Every Which Way But Loose? Okay, who sang the theme tune to the Clint Eastwood film Every Which Way But Loose? Number 3, it's a wee lyric. It's so nice to be insane. No one asked you to explain. Are lyrics from which song? Okay, it's so nice to be insane. No one asked you to explain. Is a line from which song? That's a good wee number 2. And when I say who had a hit, it was played a lot on the radio, but for some reason, and I can't understand it, it was a great wee song, but it was played in all the clubs and all the discos and all, but it never got it. Don't think it got into the top 40. You thought it would in the top 10, but it wasn't. Who had a hit in the 70s with The Little Girl in Me? Who had a hit in the 70s with The Little Girl in Me? It's like, what do I call that? What do you call that Brad Adams song? Summer 69. It's like a Summer 69. It was a great wee song, but it wasn't. I think I'd only got the number 43 or something like that, or 50 or something. 40. Right. Norby lyric. Some dance to remember, some dance to forget. Is a line from which song? Some dance to remember, some dance to forget. Another wee lyric round. I think I got stuck in quit, and I think I got stuck for a couple of music ones. I started doing lyrics. Number 6. What song is this from? And soon my cap won't be large enough to drop a half a crown in. And soon my cap won't be large enough to drop a half a crown in. What's the song there? Okay, we're going to move up to 2008. Which group had a hit called That's Not My Name? It was number 1 in 2008. Which group had a number 1 hit called That's Not My Name in 2008? Number 8. In his early days, which famous singer did Barry Manilow accompany on tour and play piano for before he made it big? Okay, so which famous singer did Barry Manilow accompany on tour and play piano for before he made it big? Okay, get them answers down. To get my dinner on. Number 1 answers, round 4. Who had a hit with Davies on the Road Again? That was Manfred Mann's Earth Band. Well, if you say Manfred Mann, you give yourself a point. Manfred Mann's Earth Band. Who sang a theme to the Clint Eastwood film Every Which Way But Loose? It was Eddie Rabbitt. It's so nice to be insane. No one asked you to explain. Are lyrics from Angie Baby by Helen Reddy. And who had a hit in the 70s with The Little Girl in Me? Judy Cheeks. Number 5. Some dance to remember, some dance to forget. Is a line from which song? It's Hotel California by the Eagles. Number 6. And soon my cap won't be large enough to drop a half a crown in. It's One Man Band by Leo Sayer. And which group had a hit called That's Not My Name? Got the number 1 in 2008. You probably won't remember these, but it was a good wee song. It was The Ting Tings. The Ting Tings. And which famous singer did Barry Manilow accompany on tour and play piano before he made it big? It was Bette Midler. Bette Midler. Okay, we're on the last round here. Okay, write them scores down. Number 1. What's the closest capital city to the equator? What's the closest capital city to the equator? Number 2. What did Jethro Tull invent? No, there was a group. No, Jethro Tull, the group. But it was named after an inventor who invented, his biggest invention was this. So what did Jethro Tull invent? Number 3, the airline BOAC merged in 1974 with another company to form British Airways, but what did BOAC stand for? Number 4, which of the Great Lakes is located entirely within the USA? Okay, which of the Great Lakes is located entirely within the US? And number 5, what play is the overweight housewife Edna Turnbull from? Okay, what play is the overweight housewife Edna Turnbull from? Number 6, which writer created Inspector Morse? Which writer created Inspector Morse? Number 7, which song is generally considered to have been the first rap song? Okay, so which song is generally considered to be the first rap song? And number 8, what's the highest mountain in Ireland? What's the highest mountain in Ireland? Right, get them answers down if you want to go over some of them again, because I'm going to give you the answers to the final round. Don't forget to let me know. Don't forget to let me know your scores so I can give it out in the next round, the next quiz. Okay, number 1. What's the closest capital city to the equator? It's Quito in Ecuador. Quito is the capital city of Ecuador, so it's Quito. What did Jethro Tull invent? The seed drill. And the airline BOAC stood for British Overseas Airways Corporation. Okay, British Overseas Airways Corporation. Which of the Great Lakes is located entirely within the US? Lake Michigan. And which play is the overweight housewife Edna Turnbull from? Hairspray. And which writer created Inspector Morse? Colin Dexter. And which song is generally considered to have been the first rap song? It's the Sugar Hill Gang with Rapper's Delight. And what's the highest mountain in Ireland? It's Mount Carrauntoohil. Mount Carrauntoohil. It's the McGillicuddy Reeks. It's a Mount Carrauntoohil. Okay, folks, have a good weekend, and we'll catch us for round 52 next week. Then we'll maybe take a wee break for a week or two to see you soon.